welcome to Turkmenistan, where this goes to Ashgabat. And you know, if you Ashgabat a dumb question, you're about to get a dumb answer. But they don't want you to Ashgabat or Turkmenistan in general from the outside. And just as much as it's verboten to go into Turkmenistan's secretive layers, it is verboten for the people in Turkmenistan to get on the internet and such and so forth. So, being a YouTuber, I do have some responsibilities to mention that you should not do any personally identifying information concerning this video if you are happening to be in Turkmenistan and somehow watching it. And I further advise any commenters, if I allow comments at all on this video, to refrain from any silly questions or expectations of the Turkmenistanians. Okay? Respect their situation. So, it starts off in a trip. I guess this happened in 2014, and I'm claiming fair use on this because I cannot personally go to Turkmenistan, but I do have some thoughts. You're going to see, without my commentary, you would have seen this anyway. It's empty. Like China level empty. There are three possibilities for this. And you probably have not seen my video about China's empty cities because it is totally squashed by the man. But it's the same dealio, that there are massively huge buildings just with all kinds of square footage. Now here it seems all compact and used, but you have to understand what a small percentage that is, especially for the land area and especially for what's built up. Some things I notice about it is it's relatively new looking and it's relatively old looking. Now you'll see what I mean as the video goes on, but look at the emptiness. There are no cars. Now you go into the comments section, which we'll do, and review the comments, but basically I can sum it up. A lot of people are saying, dude, it's totally empty. And you know, they're right. Look at that thing. What the heck is that thing, huh? I don't know, but we'll find out. Maybe. So what differs from China is the quality of the construction, I think. It's hard to tell from the outside. But the quality of construction here seems to be better than in China. In China, they're actively building some of them. At least it appears to be so. Whereas here, there's not as much active construction going on because there are no people to be doing it. There's hardly any people there. But it looks a little crisper. And look at the size of it. I mean, it's basically empty. What? Like, what? Okay. LM Cultural Center. Okay. Why is it shaped? I have so many questions. I'm not going to blurt them all out. But I have lots of questions about it. The skyscrapers. Look at the sky. Like, if that's not, what is that? Constitution Monument. It's an obelisk. What's the deal with all these obelisks? There's a lot of gold. For an impoverished country, it's gilded, man, like the Gilded Age. There's the Arch of Neutrality, aka rocket ship building. Very odd construction. Very, very curious. And again, with the gold, they have these dudes in business suits with like capes, like tons of capes. But look at the sprawl, look at the spread, look at the size, look at the emptiness of activity. What is that, 1, 2 cars I see? A couple cars, you know? The fountains are running, the street lights are running. That's a huge flag, man. Towers to the domes. That's like, I don't even know, you know, I have all kinds of thoughts of what I could describe it as. A tripod is one of them. And look at the depictions, like, are those modern or what? You know, it seems odd. It's like fake in a way. But who would build it? Look at the guards there. They're guarding something. They're like the only two citizens. The National Museum. Well, yeah. They've got the, like, how much are they making on entrance fees there to be able to gild things in gold? Well, I do have thoughts. So, some of these buildings, some of them have been around for quite a while. Look at the size. These gates are everywhere. You ever hear of the Brandenburger Tor? I mean, that's what I think of when I look at that. It's that size, I mean, roughly. Pretty darn big. So I do have a theory. But I need to do a little more research before I speculate. I guess I can speculate, because I told you it's speculation. Look at the size of these figures. I know statues are big, but is that really gilded in gold? It probably is. Look at the scepter. Okay, yeah. So domes, and then you got your towers or minarets. I don't know. I'll call them both. Please don't be offended if I say minaret and it's a tower, and please don't be offended if I say it's a tower when it's a minaret. But they got the big old hats, you know. There's those. Are those the same? Oh, there are 3 soldiers. Goose stepping it. Who are these people? I don't know. It's part of the history somehow. The glass is pretty cool. I mean, these are like Vegas casinos or something, except, I mean, like, I was in the Luxor last year or something on a business trip. Anyway, I don't gamble or anything in there, but I just went to business trip, and the Luxor was kind of run down, was my opinion. You know, I'd never been there before. Oh, look, he's holding the arrows in his hand, not a quiver, which is how it was actually probably done. Because if you had a quiver, you would quiver that the arrows would bounce and fall out. Okay, you remember, I don't know if it was Thundercats or, no, Transformers, Laserbeak. Yeah, Soundwave. Soundwave had the bird Laserbeak. I know it's a fountain. But there's a gilded dude. He's in a business suit, but he's got his cape. Kind of like Superman. Oh, there were some people. Wow. So they must be paying really high ticket prices to finance all this. Well, they say, there's a Palace of Happiness. You know, that's been my problem. Should have been there. That place should be booming. I mean, who wouldn't want to go to the Palace of Happiness? I don't know what that is, but it's big. The scale, the size, the structure of it, the construction of it in some cases. And okay, I'll speculate. So there are like 3 options, and one of them is the generally accepted option that, well, they just like to showcase and show off that they're an independent country, Well, yeah, but that takes money. And maybe the Ruskies built it, but it looks newer than that. Well, the Ruskies, the Soviets, okay? Looks newer than that, but they're their own place. So here's like Carpet City. Anyway, hey, the king from the playing cards, kind of. That's cool. This ancient place looks a little bit worked over. You know what I mean? It does look ancient. It looks like ruins, but it also looks like they came in with some like colored screed, like basically like a concrete spackling, and they just colored it the same as the natural color, the dirt and bricks and such. Maybe not so much the bricks. The bricks are a little bit more red. And then they just kind of splatter blasted it all. Kind of took a trowel and... Oh, okay. You didn't hear what the guy said. The one thing that you can hear watching this video of what they say, the tourist guides, the one thing you can hear loud and clear is he says, and I had guessed, it's either going to be a temple or a tomb. And he says, we're standing now in the circle of what was, we think, the old temple. Well, sure, it's got to be a temple or a tomb. But do you see what I mean? Like they kind of smoothed it over to hide it up. You know, here you see now we're getting into the kind of the ruins that they didn't really get to cover up that well. Look at the sizes of the doorways. And they have domes. Look at the covered up doorways there, covered up windows. It's all the bricks, you know, the Tatarian bricks, brick domes, towers to the domes, towers to the dizomes, boys. And then, well, boy. We have, just a minute. We have some places where, like, quote, the real people live, the regular, real, local people. So what is this town for? Are they expecting visitors? If they are, the visitors are huge. Huge. If they're not expecting huge visitors, then they have some problems with over construction. Look at these buildings, you know. Naturalgus. Okay. Again, I think a lot of the buildings, they kind of look new, but then if they're new, like what's the business case of building them? And then here, like where the real people live, even these seem kind of too big. It's like what was once a storage, like, you know, like a storage farm or whatever they call it. I don't use this. A storage locker field or whatever they are called. But like it was turned into homes. So here's another site. Now, the areas that aren't covered up, they have tremendous detail. So, oh, it's a temple and a tomb, and it's a temple tomb, and it's a tomb temple. And here, there's the temple, and the tomb goes around, so pray. Yeah. Excuse me for a second. But it seems kind of like a fake site. See all that drizzle over it? It's like they frosted it with the earthen brown frosting. All the artifacts, all the bricks, all the good stuff, they just kind of glazed over it. And then they have, oh, look, we're excavating. I wonder if the person kind of shovels the same pile into the bucket, and then when the tourists leave, they pour the pile back where it was and shovel it again. You know what I mean? Well, this is kind of interesting, you know, like what it was before. It looks very much like Jerusalem in a way. So they have some of the original things. Who knows? Could be, probably is authentic. Tatarian lion. I don't know about the symbols over there. Big old pots or batteries, whatever. Maybe they held pepper. Maybe they were pepper pots. Little Avengers joke, Marvel movies, comics series. All right, so these mosques, it's kind of interesting. Towers to the domes, towers to the dizomes. Boy! Towers to the domes. So here, again, very high ceilings and everything, which, okay, that's the same. That's what gets me. This stuff's the same all over the world. These doors are huge on the inside and out. And I looked at this mosque when I was looking at mosques in general in Tataria, because what we're looking at here is the second best thing that you can find to modern day Tataria, because there is a country called Tataristan. Am I getting that right? Tataristan? This is Turkmenistan, so it's right there. But it's very Tatarian. Look at the door. Look at the height of that latch and lock. You have big doorways going in and little. So these things, I speculated, they're built for various reasons. I'm sure it's all well worked out and everything. And I visited a mosque before in the local area, just took a tour as part of a class. And they have, you know, reasons for the dome and all these different things that they say about it. So I'm not taking away from that. But this thing is always present in the mosques, and they always have like the balcony. And I speculated kind of whimsically, but somewhat seriously, that if, let's say, that giants lived among the we people, we the people, us, if you were to talk to a giant, the giant's not going to bend his ear to you. You're going to have to go up to his level and shout, you know, basically right into his ear. No, I don't know. But it makes sense. But you can see how much they use it here. So all those mosques, you know, they have a place where you could go up and stand, and if there was a 18-foot giant, you could talk to them and tell them, you know, hey, we made the doorways high enough for you at this building and that building and this building and that building, so you can go in there. Now here, there's two guards, like phone booth guards guarding this. Towers to the domes. Towers to the domes. Boy. Towers to the domes. Look at that. Is that gold? I mean, come on. That's why it's guarded. So it's funny, I say the doors are big because the people were big, or the people are going to be big who are coming. Because so we'll get into speculation. So one of the speculations is they built this for giants who are not yet here, but they're coming, and they're coming soon. And so these cities are being built up and whatnot. Now in China, it's not the case. They don't have as many of the high doorways and such and so forth, but it seems to be ubiquitous throughout the so-called Tatarian architecture in over half of the earth, well over half of the earth that has all the same architecture, basically, these gates and such. Now this seems so new, it seems like it was contrived. But you go around the city and look, there's a big old doorway there, big old doorways there, big old high floors, tall windows, such and so forth. And then the ground level is not usually ground level. Well, there are reasons for that, but you get underground and above ground. So I thought those dresses were actually pretty dang tall. Like, are those women going to be hitting their heads on the ceilings, or maybe they pin them up? I don't know. Domes, no towers. Dome. The cranes on tops of the buildings, all that stuff. Like, why? Like, why? I want to know why. And there's so much there. I mean, it's huge. Where are the people? Here's the church. Here's the steeple. Open the doors. And where are the people? I don't know. Then this Dinker place here, or it looked that way, it has these actual like ruins that haven't been ruined. You can see the bricks better. You can see the curvature of like the archways. You can see the details. You can see the painted sections. Like, look, it looks like they were designing Duke Nukem 3D or Escape from Castle Wolfenstein or one of the early first-person shooter video games. Crossword puzzles, Sudoku, etc., etc. No, I don't know. But the levels here, first of all, I have to mention the bricks. When I was doing this research early on, bricks, yeah, I thought, it's bricks. Like, I thought it had to be stone to be like ancient, old world stuff. But yeah, it goes underground. And I have a theory that many of those underground tunnels, that they fill them up. They fill them up to hide how tall they were. Now this place looks like the shiznit to me. I mean, that looks gorgeous. It looked good during the day, if not a bit quatty. But these the Ferris wheel, that has been ever present in like the expos and some of the old pictures, of like cities, well, all over the world. Basically, your reset cities, your so-called Tatarian cities, they love the Ferris wheel, and maybe it served a purpose other than just to ride on to see the city. Maybe, who knows? But it looks great, doesn't it? It looks awesome, even if it's not really occupied. It's impressive. I mean, man, they know how to make it look nice. And I find it curious. I find it ironic, really, that the lack of people seems to have made it more beautiful. Now, I don't like saying that, but you can't deny the truth of the matter. Because people mess stuff up. I know I do. If I don't clean up after myself extremely well, I usually mess something up. I can't help it. It's life, right? Well, there isn't life here. So why is it there? Well, the other theory, so we've covered the first two theories. The first theory is, hey, they just do it to impress visitors. But then, wait a minute, they don't really have a tourist industry, yet they're spending like amounts of money like what Vegas casinos would spend to house people and impress them and all this, but there aren't the people. And then in the comments they said, well, the people are all at the market. Well, do they all fly? Are they like power walkers? I don't buy it. Those buildings are empty, boy. I tell you, they're empty. Maybe not entirely, but mostly. So what is going on here? So then I covered the theory of, well, maybe they're preparing for the arrival. The arrival. Like the Carpet Museum. How much do you think those doors cost? Just those doors. And why are the handles so high? It's just curious. Curious. There are some cars. Those are the most cars I've seen yet. Wow. So if the arrival of whom and from where and or when, why, for what purpose? I don't know. Oh, I don't know why. Well, this place is pretty dang huge too. My gosh. It's all vast. Now, the third theory would be that maybe these places were there. They were there, and they were occupied by the Tartans, the Tartarians, the entire sovereign or semi-sovereign civilization on the earth that most of the people on the earth that we know had no clue about. I hate ending a sentence on a preposition like that. About whom almost nobody knew. That was an interesting little mural there. A lot going on there. I gotta break it down. So the other theory would be that this stuff was all here, maybe not in the exact place that it is there, maybe not in such of a new looking form or fashion, and perhaps it got redressed, refreshed, refurbished for presentation to the world by the new regime after the previous regime or civilization or inhabitants went away. To where? I'm quite certain that I don't know. It almost looks like nobody lived there, but then you have these ancient buildings that are buried. So maybe it was all like buried in the sand and they just kind of dug, like maybe the got uncovered rapidly or something. I just don't know. But I have lots of questions. Like, why are these people living here in such of a dinky place when they have these big old palatial empty places there? Well, yeah, you have your economics and all that happy horse manure. But they have really cool clothes. They seem happy because they're not they're not kept down by the man, basically. I mean, they are, but it's weird. Happiness is a weird thing. Sometimes when you get what you want, you're not happy. And sometimes when you can't get what you want, if you try sometimes, you just might find you get what you need. But yeah, all their stuff's really neat. But like these are the Tatarians, folks. I mean, modern day. But I just wonder what happened to their kinfolk. What happened to all the others, Are they afraid to talk about it? We really don't hear from them on the matter. What in tarnation is going on around here? That's what I want to know. That was a cool cat there. So they do carpets and they do stuff with I don't know if that's cotton. Sometimes they get mad at the cotton and they just whack it just bash it. Maybe that's how they get their frustrations out. But yeah, it just seems like a disconnect. Like maybe the government built that big old city under the Soviet Empire. I just don't know. I haven't researched the official narrative yet. I'm just looking at it, trying to apply horse sense, or camel sense in this case. That camel, yeah. If you lead a camel to water, will it drink? So these dwellings, I just find it fascinating. And then they have these like squares out there. Oh, and then the pit. So this, what is this place? What is that place? It's a well, yeah. Is it also, was it a quarry? I don't know. Was it just a sinkhole? I don't know. Is it a blast crater? I don't know. Is it a caldera? Is it a massive geothermal barbecue? I don't know. I find it interesting, though. Darvaza Gaskrita. It's kind of a cool looking little van there. So this one you've probably seen before, that they have featured all the time, you know, like, is it the opening to hell? Well, go for a walk in there and you might think, yeah. It is what it looks like. A hole in the ground, a sinkhole most likely, created by geothermal natural gas production, which happens how, people? Through the process of decomposition. Yes, yes. So all that stuff buried that we saw, yeah, that is, you know, that's probably what's fueling that stuff. And then once ignited, it's going to stay lit until all that natural gas is gone. Now, oil is an interesting thing. We've been told for so many years that it is liquefied dinosaurs. But I've come to find through some preliminary investigation that oil may indeed, in fact, be rather abiotic. Doesn't mean it's a space biotic. I mean abiotic, all one word. So biotic means of plant or animal or living tissue, material, whatever. Abiotic means not. So if oil is just not from living stuff, then that kind of gets rid of this idea of peak oil, as far as I'm concerned, which was supposed to have happened so many times already. It's not even funny. This stuff just keeps coming out of the ground. So some of it maybe from decomposition, maybe that's the natural gas, perhaps. And then some of it, perhaps, the abiotic oil that just seems to emanate from underground, from Sheol. Now they had those little pens. I don't know if they kept little chiclets in there or what. I don't know what it was. And they have their pretty flowers and such and so forth. Now, why are there clouds in the sky? Like, honestly, I mean, it seems like a silly question, but it's so arid and dry. And as far as I know, you at least have to have some humidity to have condensation. So you get up, you have expansion, and expansion causes the water moisture in the air to condense, but that's not what we're seeing as far as I'm concerned. Those are chemtrails, I'm afraid. Because how they go in lines and the way they're dispersing. Yep, we've seen it before. It's the screen. Now this place is interesting. Big old gate, bunch of Tatarian bricks, kind of degraded. It's the remnants of the Persian Empire, perhaps. The Mongols, I don't know. Again, I haven't spent much time on the official narrative because sometimes it does the purpose that it is meant to do, and that is to tell you what you should think about what you are seeing. Like that door. They'll tell you all these different reasons that the door is that big with the handle that high. I'm telling you through horse sense, though I am not a horse. If I were, I would be an Arabian horse. But I'm not a horse. I'm a man. And my horse sense tells me that those doors were probably made for big people. It just goes without saying, but big doors, big people. When you build your home, the thresholds of your doorways are probably 6 feet and 6 inches off the ground. If you have money to throw, extra money to throw at it, then perhaps you would put the threshold higher. Sure. If you need room to move furniture and this and that, sure. But on the inside, and as you go in, would you do it that way? I don't know. It doesn't make sense unless you need the space, right? Now, what all this stuff is, I'm quite certain I don't know. But I see a lot of Tatarian bricks. They're not the red bricks. They are the brown earthen material that is so familiar there. But I just started to do this, but it's amazing. A building like that, look at those doors. Look at the handle on that door. Look at the location of that. Hey, it's ye olde ladderline. It's like, oh, we're just building it. Yeah, Right. We've seen this before. It's been the same way since photography. These reset cities, they're all the same. They're just getting around to the last bastions that we know of. And who lived there before? I don't know. How long ago was it? What are all these things? Memorials? I don't know. Archaeological markers for dig sites that aren't being dug. Dig it? Look at the windows, bricked in. Look at that igloo, and it's bricked in. Like what? It's a brick igloo. What is going on around it? The doorway was above grade. Fascinating. And it's all brick, man, I'm telling you. Bricks out the wazoo. So I was just starting to tell you, it's amazing how many bricks you think it takes to build a building like that. It's like 5 million or 50 million. I'm not even kidding. Maybe I'm overestimating, but there are some pretty big brick buildings in any town that take tens of millions of bricks. And when were these bricks made, and by whom, and how? Can you go to your local brick factory where they're churning out bricks out the wazoo? No. All right, thanks for watching. Oh, I didn't forget. Good thing. All right, so these comments, right? So I told you about the other ones. We'll skip that. But isn't YouTube banned there? Yeah, kind of. So how is anybody on YouTube? Shut up. Well, wait a minute. YouTube's banned there, so how are any of these Turkmens on YouTube? Shut it. But can we ask questions about, Turkmenistan, because it's not allowed for them to answer? Zip it. Capiche? Grazie. All right. Now this one, it was kind of interesting. The replies aren't there, but have they implemented, or do they have the same alphabet as the Turkish do? And the answer is exactly what I thought it would be, and it's a variation of that. It's similar but different. It's the same but different. But same but different. Same, but different. Got it? Good. That's how the Tatarians are. And you can find that. You can find those characters. You can find that writing all over the world, practically. Anyway, it contributes to the mystery. So, okay, the German. All right, so number one, the airport, the schools, the channels, the weather stations, the market, whatever is named after Turkmenbazi, the leader of the Turkmen, okay, who himself named after this other fellow. I don't even know. Okay, and so the airing of the World Cup, it was aired in 206 of the 207 countries that are in the World Cup, right? Only in one land was the finale not aired. Turkmenistan, you got it. Curious. So they're allowed to play in the World Cup, but they're not allowed to watch the World Cup. The only country. Number three, Naya Zhao was simultaneously the state president, the cabinet minister, the a bunch of different things. Minister of the Interior, and the Secretary of Defense, and the head of National Security, and the Congress, and the Judiciary, all at the same time, one person. Sounds like a dictatorship to me. 1999, Naya Zhao named himself lifelong president, and then he died in 2006. Which, it doesn't even matter. He died anyway. But supposedly it might have been a false flag, because then he got rid of a bunch of people. It's like convenient. Oh, somebody tried to kill me. I'm going to get rid of a bunch of people. Saddam Hussein pulled that one when he took power. Yuck. And the first page of the Runama of the Dictator's Bible. The Dictator's Bible. Oh, it's like the Good News Bible. You have the Dictator's Bible. Oh, boy. If I were to carry the... whatever. But he ruled for 14 years. Okay. Co-workers of the regime would take part in television live events or celebrations. And the frenemies or the folks, enemies of the regime who were untrustworthy came in and were put in prison. And most of them did not survive until the end of their sentences. Added to that, the dependents of the traitors were also handled medically. Oh boy, that's not good. Yet, or no. Holidays are allowed to play on television. All this dictator crap. So you get the idea. It's very, very much closed off. So what goes on in Turkmenistan stays in Turkmenistan for the most part. Get it? Got it? Good. No wonder they have a tourist problem, huh? So what are these buildings about then? Really? Honestly? Well, I have a theory. They are the future reset cities. But the question is, what then is to become of the known civilized world in which we live? China? Any place closed off from the internet, from YouTube, for example, that is the informational boundary, and that is the demarcation line of what has been and what is to be. Research it. Either way, research it. There you have it. Thanks for watching, listening, and putting up with me, your host, UAP. Bye-bye.